So you want children to be able to articulate how to move from one level to the next, and you want them to be clear that they've made use of the flags being clicked to start the game and messages being sent to move between the various levels. Now, the other thing to recognize is that there are many different ways of programming the same thing, and I've just shown one particular way here. Obviously, feel free to have a different method of moving between levels if you think that's appropriate. But in our case, using broadcast means that for assessment purposes, we can then ask children to complete the code for the second sprite. So they have to decide what level it is that they're implementing. So in terms of the assessment, we want them to program the next level, so that can either be the level before or the level after. And when they're doing that, they have to think about the changes that may be required to the original level. So maybe the first level that was programmed only requires that we ask questions about the 7 times table, and maybe the next one is going to ask about the 8 times table or the 9 times table. In terms of assessment, the most important thing for us is that it functions as a game. And for that, we need to just remind children of the functionality that we identified, that it needs to be able to ask questions, check answers, keep score, and implement levels. So that's, in terms of functionality, that's what we want it to be able to do. And in addition, you can set other criteria. Again, these can be agreed with the class as you see fit. And these really are less about programming some of them than the functionality of the game. So they can theme it and have it just space characters and a space background and things like that. Make appropriate use of sound. Possibly have an opening screen with some animation and sound, and a closing screen. Add an additional level, make it multiplayer if they want to, and any other addition that they can think of in terms of audience and purpose. And remember, we stated the audience and purpose right at the beginning, to make a quiz for Year 4 pupils about times tables. So again, that's kind of what we're going to leave up to them to decide. And when we think about assessment, if we look at our game here, so this is the code that they're going to implement, and for this level to be a fully functioning part of the game, we can assess it in terms of the curriculum. So we should be able to be able to assess whether they have designed, written and debugged programs that accomplish the goal that we have set, which is to design this level. And the only way that they can solve this problem is by decomposing it into smaller parts, because the problem itself that we've created is a large enough problem. They will use sequence because that's just the order in which instructions are carried out. Selection is the if, else. Repetition is the repeat command. Variables they will have to create to hold the score and the random numbers. And input, output, so they will ask a question and make some use of the answer, and the output will be shown on the screen. They will have used logical reasoning to explain how their program works, and they should be correcting errors as they go along. And again, we can remind them before they set off on the assessment task that that when we went through and did the first level, we were problem solving by starting with the very basics of asking a particular question and then developing the solution around that. And they have to be able to debug their own code because nobody else knows what it is that they're trying to implement. So the minute they make a change to their program, they have to test it to make sure it works as expected. And again, you can set up various programming in pairs scenarios in the classroom when they're completing the task. And that should be the end of the unit, and most children should be able to accomplish some of the assessment criteria that we're setting them here.